Hope you've got your beverage in hand. I've got mine, and you're ready to go. Because I want to jump in here right off the bat. All right, so first, before we start, let me just tell you a little bit who I am. In case you're just joining us, my name is Dov Barron. I'm the founder of FullMontyLeadership.com, where we provide you with the essential leadership skills to get you to the top and keep you there, giving you the concrete leadership skills that really the depth and the foundation of your business and everything that you do in leadership is based on. Because you cannot outsource authenticity. All right, let's jump in for a minute. Get right into the show if that's okay with you. Let's have a look here. How are we doing on time? We're good. All right, so first off, what I want to talk to you about today is permission to be great. I mean, do you give yourself permission to be great? I mean, I want you to think about greatness for a minute. What is the difference between a great person and an average person? Is it possible that two siblings can be born into the same family? One goes on to do great things and makes a massive difference in the world, and the other one fades off into oblivion? Of course it's possible. You know it's possible. So why does it happen? Why do two people seemingly from a very similar environment, one of them becomes great and the other one becomes quite ordinary? What is the difference between ordinary and extraordinary? I was having a conversation with a very dear friend of mine, somebody I have tons of respect for. His name is Mark Levy. Mark Levy is the author of The Accidental Genius, and he is, by all accounts, quite the genius. He's a dear friend and an amazing human being with a spectacular mind. And we were having a conversation about favorite movies, and we started to talk about a movie that was a favorite of mine from many, many years ago. And the movie was called The Agony and the Ecstasy. And it featured Kirk Douglas, who played Vincent van Gogh, and what's his name? It'll come to me in a moment. The other guy who played Gauguin. So it's about these two artists, about Vincent van Gogh and Paul Gauguin, and about their friendship and about how they were artists together. And we were talking about how, the agony and the ecstasy of being this phenomenal artist. And I'm actually going to come back to that agony and ecstasy piece in the next show that I do next week. But I want to just come in onto this piece because we were having this conversation about this movie, and Mark shared with me a quote from Paul Gauguin. And the quote from Paul Gauguin was this: when he fully committed to being an artist, he started to paint fruit. Now, if you're an artist, or if you've been an artist, or even if you've seen early artwork, I know I was an artist. It was my thing when I was a kid. I was passionate about art up into my early 20s, and I just lived, ate, slept, breathed art. And one of the first things you do is you do still lives. So you draw, you paint vases and fruit and things that don't move, things that will be pretty still for you while you do your work. And I remember always doing these fruits and trying to make them so that there was this sense that you could reach in and just grab that piece of fruit. And Paul Gauguin made this quote. He said that he was going to astonish Paris with an apple. This is the quote that Mark Levy shared with me. That Gauguin said, "I'm going to astonish Paris with an apple." What does that mean? It means that he was going to take this very ordinary thing, and actually several ordinary things, which is the ordinary thing of the apple itself, the ordinary thing of a canvas, the ordinary thing of paint, the ordinary things of a brush or a palette knife, and he was going to bring it to life. He was going to astonish Paris with the vibrance, with the realness, with the just deliciousness of this apple. He was going to astonish Paris with an apple. He was going to take something that was very ordinary and make it extraordinary. So here's my question to you. Where have you made your greatness ordinary? Where have you taken what is absolutely extraordinary and gone the other way and made it really obvious and really pedestrian? Where have you made your greatness ordinary? We all know that water boils at 100 degrees centigrade at 212 Fahrenheit. But what is water at 99 degrees Celsius or 211 degrees Fahrenheit? What is it then? It's not steam. It becomes steam when it hits that boiling point. But what is it before that? Very hot water. But it changes its entire physical representation in the world by 1 degree. It is that 1 degree that separates us from ordinary to extraordinary. It is that 1 degree that takes us from who we were to who we can be. It's 1 degree of separation between ordinary and extraordinary. There was an eminent biologist, his name was Ben Heinrich, and he was fascinated with how caterpillars become butterflies. He was fascinated how they come into the world as these wiggling little worms, and then they become these creatures of beauty that are airborne. He was fascinated with that. And he was fascinated to say, well, does the butterfly exist within the caterpillar? And he wanted to understand that. He wanted to understand what is the difference, because in fact, according to his research and his theory, they are two very different animals. That the caterpillar is one animal, but the butterfly is a completely different animal. What is it? What is the difference between those two animals? What has to happen? And what he put forward was this entire theory around reincarnation, that not from a very or a particularly spiritual sense, but from the sense of that the caterpillar has to be willing to die in order for the butterfly to come into existence. The caterpillar has to be willing to leave this world. It has to be willing to dissolve. It has to be willing to be in the cocoon and freely give itself over to death in order to give birth to this magnificent, beautiful, flying being. What has to die in order for you to reach your greatness? What do you have to let go of? What do you have to let go of? What has to be that? I mean, when you think about it, the caterpillar spins itself into the cocoon and then it goes into that stasis. It goes into that place where it absolutely dissolves before it becomes the caterpillar. And now here's the thing that fascinates me about that process is this. Is in the moment when the caterpillar is finally wrapped in the pupilla and it's fully in that place, at that moment, does it just surrender? I don't know. I don't know that any of us know. But what I wonder is this. Does it willingly die? Or is there that moment where fear rushes over it? You see, we hold on to life in the form that we know it. We hang on with like dear life as if you know, if you don't do life in the form that you've done it in, that you won't exist anymore. But for the caterpillar to become the butterfly, it has to do that. It has to face that fear of annihilation, of completely dissolving into whatever it is, possible death, before it can become the very thing that it was actually meant to be. It wasn't meant to be a caterpillar, it was meant for its greatness in the form of a butterfly. You see, the caterpillar always contained the DNA to have wings to fly. But that DNA, that protein was never fully turned on. What is the DNA? What is the protein within you? What is the molecular structure? What is the beauty that exists within you? What is the magnificence that exists within you that's not quite switched on yet? What is that? And are you willing to let die the ordinary, the everyday, in order to give birth to your extraordinary? Are you willing to let die what was in order to have what can be? Are you willing to cocoon yourself, to separate yourself from everything that's familiar and just dissolve? Think about this for a moment. It's the summertime, and there's in Vancouver we have something called the P&E, and it's this Pacific National Exhibition, and it's a big, it's the rides, it's the roller coasters, it's all those things. And let's imagine that you're about to get on a roller coaster. You're in the lineup, and you stand in that lineup, and you're watching as people are in front of you, and you're watching, you're edging closer and closer and closer to that place where they're going to put you in the seat and strap you in for the roller coaster. But meanwhile, as you're waiting, you're watching other people, and you can see them going up, click, 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 towards the top. And then that, and you can hear everybody scream as it rolls off the top, and everybody's arms go up in the air. That moment. What are those people doing? Here's the question. Are they in fear or are they in excitement? What is the difference? Well, according to science, according to biology, according to neurology, the only difference between fear and excitement is one molecule. You're one molecule away from excitement when you're in fear. When you feel anxiety, you're about to step out onto the stage and your palms get sweaty, your heart starts to beat faster, and all those things start to happen. What is going on? Is it anxiety or is it excitement? Maybe it's a mind shift. Maybe it's a simple shift in your mindset between the two places. Is it anxiety or is it excitement? If it's just one molecule apart, what's the difference? Is it that 1 degree between hot boiling water and steam? Is it that one difference between ordinary and extraordinary? That's what I want to ask you. You see, that deep greatness is within you. It's always been within you. But you're not going to get to it by thinking that you're special. You're not special. You are unique. And there's a great deal of difference. You see, if you're special, you're automatically compared to everybody else. That you're somehow better than them, or not as good as them, which is often what we're running. But the truth is, you are unique. There is a particularly unique structure to how you are in the world, to how you communicate in the world, to how you do the world, how you operate in the world. That is unique about you, and there is no competition. There is no one else in the world who is even close to being you. There's shades and tones, but it's not the same. Your greatness is already within you. But maybe you've made it ordinary. Maybe you've made it pedestrian. And maybe other people can see it, but you just can't. But it's time for you to step into that greatness. And the thing about it is understanding this, that your greatness is not to be achieved outside of you. It's not something that is out there. It's not something you can get with another degree. It's not something you can get with another accolade. It's something that already exists within you. It's already right there inside of you. It's already right here in your heart, in your soul, in your being. But it's you who's got to claim it. It's not going to come to you through another degree. It's not going to come to you through another something. It already exists within you. It's already naturally in there. But there's a very good chance that you have minimized it. There's a very good chance that you've made it less than in order to possibly pacify other people who feel maybe intimidated by your greatness, who maybe feel threatened by your greatness. But here's what I want you to understand about your greatness, about that silent greatness that waits within you, and it often silently whispers while your ego screams about how you are less than. You're not. Here's what I want you to really understand about this. That when you step into that greatness, when you own your unique greatness, that deep greatness that sits within you, when you fully own that, something amazing happens. And that is this. Your greatness is inspirational. When you think about what is inspiration, what does that actually mean? To inspire somebody. Well, the word comes from the Latin inspiritus, means to be drunk on spirit, to be drunk on God. You inspire others with your greatness. But what are you actually inspiring them to? And the answer is actually quite simple. You are inspiring them to the greatness within them. When you play ordinary, everybody suffers. When you play ordinary, other people don't get to access their greatness. I put it to you that your greatness is a form of permission. When you inspire another, you give them permission to step into their greatness. You give them the courage to own their greatness. The greatness that waits within them, that is dormant within them, your greatness, you're stepping into it, you're owning it, you're claiming it. It awakens that within them. It gives them permission to fully step up and step in. So here's what I want you to know about that I learned from my friend, the brilliant Mark Levy. He was asked, how do you know when you've plateaued in your life? And Mark said this. He said, when he talks to somebody and they ask him what he's doing and he feels uninspired, when he feels a twinge of shame, when he feels a twinge of boredom at stating what he's doing right now, he knows he's plateaued. He knows that he is not having the courage that he needs to do. And that pushes him to do the next courageous thing. Even though he's very comfortable doing what he's doing, even though everyone in the world that he knows is applauding him and saying how marvelous he is and how brilliant he is, and he is doing those things, and he is an amazing man and he is doing amazing things, but he calls to his own greatness, challenges himself to step into the courage and do the thing that scares him in spite of the fact that it looks good in the world. This is what I'm talking about. Because when he does that, then he gives us all permission. When you do that, you give us all permission. See, happiness is external, happiness is transitory, but joy comes from courage. The courage to step into your greatness, that's where your joy comes from. So if you're bored, if when you say something that you're doing and other people are impressed but you're really not, maybe it's time to step into your greatness, the deep greatness that waits within you, that's calling to you. What I'm suggesting to you is consider this. Consider Astounding Paris with an apple. Consider how you've made your own extraordinary ordinary. And how, here's what I want to ask you to do. Stay curious, my friend. Stay curious about how you can take the ordinary and make it extraordinary. In other words, astound Paris with an apple. My name is Dov Baron, fullmontyleadership.com, challenging you to step in, explore, and claim your own deep greatness. Till next time, this is Dov Baron, Full Monty Leadership, saying stay curious, my friend, stay curious. I am out. I look forward to your feedback. Leave your notes below.